Hi everyone. Just wanted to talk to a little bit about the habits that we've been talking about over this last few days. So really, what I needed you to do is to just to go through your life, just check on what's stopping you from losing weight. So, what is the number one, two, maybe three things that are preventing you from properly losing weight? So the things that kind of stop you from continuing to go onto your healthy eating plan. Now, these things are stopping you because they're habits. They're not something that you can just turn off and on. They need working at, and that's what we're going to try and do in these next few weeks. So we need to first of all understand what the habit is. Once you've got that, we need to look at your cue. So the cue could be boredom, it could be stress, it could be just something simple like sitting down watching a certain TV show with a cup of tea. It doesn't have to be huge cues, it doesn't have to be huge habits, but all these small habits add up into big problems. So I want you just to run through, find those things that are affecting your ability to lose weight, and then work on the cue, the craving, the response to that, and then the result at the end of it, or the reward at the end of it. So, for example, if you're sitting at your computer, a little bit bored, sometimes the cue will be that boredom. And the craving will be perhaps a chocolate bar. And then with that chocolate bar, the response is because you've had that craving for a few minutes and you're feeling a bit low because you're bored and you're not enjoying the work you're doing, you have that chocolate bar, and that chocolate bar gives you a reward of feeling a little bit better. It might only be for a few seconds, but it makes you feel a little bit better for those few seconds. Now, those sorts of habit loops are what we're looking for. So it might be that if you have a stressful day, that you come home and instantly go towards getting a glass of wine. It could be little things that maybe are only a couple of hundred calories. They might not be adding up to huge amounts, but if you keep doing that day after day after day, add that up to three or four more different habits, and it will make a difference. So what we have to do is sort of re-engineer that habit loop. So lots of things we can do. First of all, we can get rid of the cue, which some ways is possible to do, but not always. If one of your cues is boredom because you've got to do some study, well, unless you stop studying, you're still going to have that cue. So then what we do is we need to look at the response to that cue. So maybe instead of it being that you're bored, that you reach for a chocolate bar, maybe it's you go for a quick 10-minute walk, or maybe it's that you have something a little healthier to eat, or you get yourself a cup of tea instead of having that chocolate bar. It won't feel great to start with. I'm not gonna lie. We've all sort of thought, well, yeah, I'm not replacing a chocolate bar with an apple and everything's fine. But the thing is, the more we do these things, the more we embed this new habit into our life. So you need to look at all these little cues. Maybe if it is coming home stressed at night, maybe when you are stressed at night, rather than going straight to the fridge and getting that glass of rosé out, maybe you do 10 or 15 minutes of breathing and yoga, meditation, that sort of stuff. That chills you out a little bit. You feel a bit better about yourself, and then you can carry on with the rest of your evening. So we need to look for these cues. We need to look at what our response to the cues are, and we need to change them at times if we can. Um, so looking also at forming healthy habits as well. So these habits are the things that are going to improve our lives. Like I say, like doing something like some movement, some yoga, or some going for a walk. These sorts of things that are just are better for us, and we want to get into our lifestyle. Maybe we're envious of those people who always go to the gym every evening after work, or maybe it's cooking healthier meals rather than going for a takeaway. All these things are healthy habits, which again take time to build. Just as bad habits take time to break, good habits take time to build. But to help you do that, we have the four laws of behavioral change. So first one is to make it obvious. So if you are deciding that you want to start a new habit, make it obvious that you're going to do it. So make sure that you don't forget about it. Really, you've got it. Maybe you've got a little bell on your phone that's just notification bell that says do this, drink more water, take a 10-minute walk. So make it obvious to you. So it's not something you can get to the end of the day and go, oh, I forgot to do it. Second thing is make it attractive. Don't do something that you're realistic. If you hate something, it's going to be really challenging for you to get it into a habit. So make it attractive for you to do. And maybe long term, it is something that's really quite challenging. But if that's the case, start easy and build that up. So we build the intensity. So we're not creating this negative mindset when we think about this thing that we want to do. So that goes along with making it easy. So, you know, making sure that if it is to go to the gym after work, you've got your kit with you, or if it is making some healthy food instead of ordering a takeaway, you've got healthy food in the cupboards ready to go. And then finally, make it satisfying, make it feel like you've achieved something at the end of it. So if that is walking, then brilliant, you feel better because you've just been out. If it's a little bit of yoga, you feel better because you've chilled out after a day at work. If it's eating a nice meal, make sure it's not just a healthy meal, but it is something that's nice, because if all it is just going to be lettuce leaves and glasses of water for the rest of your life, you ain't going to make that as a habit, and it's going to be pretty depressing quite quickly. So those are our 4 laws of behavior change. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. The opposite to that is when we want to break our habits. So we can still use those 4 laws of behavioral change, but instead of making it obvious, we make it invisible. So we hide this cue that causes our problems. Again, not always easy to do. So if you can't hide the cue, like if coming home is the cue to you eating something bad or having a glass of wine, you got to come home. So you can't always do anything about that, but do your best to make it invisible. Make it unattractive. So think about why you want to stop this response. You know, it's unhealthy, right? So it's doing you no good. So think of those sorts of things. Make it difficult to do. If it's come home and you want to stop having a glass of wine when you get home, make sure there's no wine in the house. That will help. Won't make it impossible, but it will make it a heck of a lot harder. And then finally, make it unsatisfying. So think about the harm it's doing rather than the short-term feeling, and try and flip that by doing something that's making you feel good for the right reasons, not just good because it's satiated your habit. So as I say, it's not always possible to change the cues. If you can't change the cues, change the response to the cues. Go through this, and don't expect this to happen overnight. But I want you to write these down for me, and I want you to list them with your cues, your responses, your rewards at the end of it. List them. Get your goods and your bads, the things that you want to get rid of, the things that you are trying to include in your life. Write them down, and then weekly audit how you've done. You know, this is what it's all about. You're going to have days where it goes wrong, and that's fine. But if you're doing the right thing more often than not, the more we do this, the more we concrete this into a habit loop that will be just completely natural for you. There isn't a perfect 21 days, 90 days to get these habits concrete into your body. It's physically how many times you do them. So if you do this new habit 20 times in 20 days, you're probably going to be more successful if you do it 3 times in 90 days. The more you do these things, the more you create these habit loops. And you will have to force it a little bit to start with. Nothing in lifestyle change is easy. Otherwise, it wouldn't be very difficult. We'd all be perfect, wouldn't we? So you're going to have to force these few lifestyle changes to start with. But the more times you do it, the less of a challenge it is. It's like exercise. The first 3 or 4 sessions after not doing any for a long time, it's challenging, it's hard, it's miserable. You feel like you're in pain, you're tired. Get through those first 3 or 4 sessions, it gets a little easier. Get through the next 3 or 4 sessions and your body starts to crave it. Get through another 4 or 5 sessions and your body is expecting it every time you step out that door. So stick with these things. Keep looking at these habit loops. Analyze weekly, monthly, see how you're doing. Make sure no other bad ones have come into place. Make sure the good ones are working for you, and keep going. Small changes make big results. Okay, good luck with it, guys. See you soon.